The Korith ambassador's voice dripped with condescension as it echoed across the Galactic Council chamber. "Perhaps, once again, the humans will lodge their little protest," he sneered, his chitinous mandibles clicking together in amusement. "Perhaps they will send more words. Words that accomplish nothing." The assembly rumbled with polite laughter. Representatives from dozens of species, from the sleek-furred Valari to the scaled Trask, shared in the joke. It was an old one by now. Humans, the stubborn, irritating newcomers from that blue death world called Earth, always protested. They filed complaints when colonies were sabotaged. They sent envoys when their trade convoys were raided. They delivered stern speeches when human civilians were massacred in pirate ambushes conveniently overlooked by galactic law enforcement. But they never struck back. The humans were tough, yes. Deathworlders always were. But they were civilized, patient. They believed in rules, in diplomacy, in exhausting every avenue before resorting to war. And the galaxy had grown comfortable with that. The Korith ambassador continued, waving a claw dismissively. "The humans are good at speeches, good at sadness, but when it comes to consequences, their claws are sheathed. Always." No one noticed that the Terran delegation was absent. No one noticed that for the first time in decades, the humans hadn't filed a formal protest over the latest atrocity. The council session adjourned. The smug, satisfied delegates dispersed, utterly unaware that somewhere far above them, high in the black void of space, everything was about to change. The news broke 3 days later, though it wasn't really news at all. The incident was small by galactic standards, barely a blip in the ever-churning chaos of interstellar politics. A human colony on New Carthage. Population 1.3 million. Gone. Not taken. Not raided. Gone. Reduced to ash by a pirate fleet, armed with military-grade weaponry no pirate could possibly afford. The local security forces, staffed largely by the Korith, responded precisely 6 hours too late. The galaxy yawned. The humans filed no protest. They held no vigils, made no impassioned speeches. They went silent. The Valari diplomat on the news feed tried to spin it as admirable restraint. The humans are grieving. They are choosing peace over vengeance. The Trask military attaché chuckled in a private meeting. They've learned their place. The Korith? They celebrated. Not openly, of course, but in their hidden war rooms, they toasted to the quiet death of human resistance. Earth had been irritating. Their alliances, their resourcefulness, their stubborn refusal to kneel, it had slowed the Korith expansion by decade. But not anymore. New Carthage was gone. And the humans had done nothing. Until they did. It started with whispers. A missing freighter here. A vanished listening post there. No debris. No distress signals. Just silence. Pirates, the news feeds claimed. Or spatial anomalies. But the pattern grew. Korith ships, specifically Korith, began to disappear along the shipping lanes. Whole outposts went dark. Fleets dispatched to investigate never returned. The Korith High Command dismissed the rumors. Baseless human propaganda, they declared. Attempts to stir unrest. But even propaganda leaves evidence. There were no speeches, no messages, no demands, just silence. And then the signal came. It wasn't a demand. It wasn't a threat. It was a recording. A human voice, cold, flat, stripped of all the warmth the galaxy had come to associate with their kind, spoke over an image of a Korith battleship, drifting lifeless in space. The time for protests is over. The camera panned to show the ship's crew. Or what was left of them. The bodies were wrong. No blood. No wounds. Just glassy eyes, mouths frozen mid-scream, limbs locked in rigor mortis. It was as if life itself had been stripped from them, leaving only empty husk. The recording ended. The message was clear. The humans weren't making speeches anymore. They were making statements. The attacks escalated. Faster than any species had ever seen. The humans struck without warning, without declaration, without the courtesy of war. Korith shipyards? Gone. Supply depots? Erased. Command centers buried deep within fortified moons? Reduced to molten slag. The Korith retaliated, of course. Or tried to. Their fleets combed the stars, searching for human targets. They found nothing. No ship. No stations. No colonies. The humans had disappeared. But their weapons remained. Unmanned drones, invisible to standard sensors, drifted silently through space like specters. Orbital strike platforms, cloaked in black ice, rained destruction without a whisper of detection. Cyber warfare programs, so advanced they defied comprehension, crippled Korith communications, turning their own systems against them. The galaxy watched in stunned horror. This wasn't human warfare as they'd known it, messy, loud, full of bravado. This was calculated, clinical, ruthless. The humans weren't fighting for territory. They weren't fighting for revenge. They were fighting to erase. The Trask ambassador, once dismissive of human resolve, appeared on a live broadcast visibly shaken. "They've changed," he rasped. "The humans, this isn't diplomacy. This is extinction." The Korith High Council, cornered and panicking, called for emergency peace talks. Their fleets were crippled. Their colonies, what remained of them, were paralyzed by fear. But when they arrived at the neutral station for negotiations, they found it empty. No human delegation. No diplomats. Just a single message carved into the metal walls, the letters scorched deep by plasma cutters. "You had your chance." The final blow came without warning. The Korith homeworld, Iraxis Prime, had stood for millennia as a fortress world, ringed with defensive satellites, shield generators, and the most formidable navy in Korith history. In one night it fell. The orbital defenses never fired. The planetary shields never activated. Because they never saw the enemy coming. The humans didn't arrive with battleships or carriers. They arrived with silence. With invisible ship. With cybernetic ghosts that bled into the Korith defense grid and shut it down from the inside. By the time the Korith realized what was happening, it was over. The sky above Iraxis Prime blossomed with artificial stars, kinetic rods dropped from orbit, impacting the surface with the force of nuclear warheads. Cities vanished. Military installations crumbled. The planet's crust fractured. The Korith begged for mercy. The humans gave them extinction. And still, they never made a speech. In the aftermath, the galaxy trembled. The Trask withdrew to their homeworlds, locking their borders tight. The Valari dissolved half their military overnight. Entire species, once dismissive of human restraint, scrambled to issue formal apologies, reparations, peace treaties, anything to avoid becoming the next new Carthage. But the humans? They remained silent. Earth, their colonies, their ships, vanished from public view. The Terran Union closed its borders. No communication. No trade. No presence at the Galactic Council. It was as if humanity had turned inward, coiled tight, waiting. The message was understood. The galaxy could insult them, attack them, even massacre them, for a time. But when humanity reached its breaking point, there would be no warning. Only silence. And then oblivion. To this day, no species forgets the lesson of the Korith. The lesson of patience mistaken for weakness. The lesson of kindness mistaken for cowardice. The lesson of the day humanity snapped and shattered an empire without mercy. The day the galaxy learned that of all the threats lurking in the dark, the most terrifying was not a snarling beast or a ruthless conqueror. It was the quiet, resilient, endlessly patient species called humans. Because when they finally decide they've had enough, there is nothing left, not even the screams,